Please join me in welcoming the amazing Iris Brickfield duo, Ellis and Lal, a two-piece synthy rock dream that have already been making a big impact on Belfast and Newcastle upon Tyne with their upcoming debut EP, Hold On My Lovers. First things first, how are you feeling for your first ever interview as a duo?
Excited, I guess. Bit nervous, don't know what we're going to be asked, but
that was a lovely introduction. Can I just say, I feel like that was
introductions. I make all my own introductions. It's the sign of a good chef. Right, okay, let's get into it. So you should be feeling comfortable over Zoom, seeing as you're both currently separated by the Irish Sea. So tell us a little bit about your collaboration through the likes of lockdown being so online.
Well, I mean, obviously we've both been at university on and off for the past year, but I suppose it started when first lockdown hit last year and we were both back home in Newcastle but unable to see each other. We just spent every other day almost just calling each other, writing songs, having to go away because my piano was very out of tune at home and not having any instruments. So yeah, I mean it's been interesting.
I think it's funny because at the very start, because your piano was so out of tune, we were playing on an acoustic guitar and a melodica. It was really interesting because obviously with like the lag over Zoom and stuff, you can't play together. So we had to we were muting ourselves and then playing. It was a whole thing. It definitely put up barriers, but
honestly,
in a way,
it was a bad thing at the word melodica. Like that's bad enough. Ellis loves that thing and it's not okay. But like that's insane that you're just going like piece for piece, like muting each other and like doing that. Like it just sounds like a really, really hard process, essentially.
I mean, it was, but it kind of sort of taught us a different way of writing music, of us kind of going away and writing on pieces for things and then coming together and pitching the ideas to each other, you know.
Yeah, it definitely made it more sort of like collaborative. I think it somehow made it more collaborative, even though we weren't in the same room, just because there were so many parts that were all from different places coming together. Yeah, which was really interesting.
I mean, you both like kind of split the musical needs of the group with, you know, Lal, you're on vocal and guitars and drums, and Ellis is on synth and keys and backing vocals. But even with that, like you do, I guess, get your input in it because it's like, oh, this is what I wrote. And then it's like, you can't come over here and like see me doing it and be like, oh, I prefer this. So that's really cool. But do you feel like the fact that you have all your musical needs within the group that you've been fast tracked into writing things?
Well, we've always done very well at writing music together. I've always thought that the one thing that stood out to me is over the past year of writing music, there's never really been anything that we've disagreed on. You know, there's been a few moments where we're kind of like, oh, I think this works better than this, or I think, you know, I disagree with that. But within, you know, 5 minutes, we'll have decided one way or the other how the song's going to go. And there's never kind of been any need for discussion and pros and cons of certain bits. So, you know,
we're on the same page a lot of the time, in everything, in every way. But like, yeah, I think we just somehow work really well together, and we're not sick of each other yet, which is amazing. When we
yeah, absolutely though. Yeah, it's nice to know that we have been zooming on and off for the past year, every other night almost, and yeah, it's been enjoyable almost.
I mean, this is kind of strange. This isn't your first collaboration. This didn't just like appear overnight, kind of like, oh, we're gonna make something together. Yous have been collaborating for years and years and years, essentially, which is insane.
Yeah, I mean, we had our old band, so it did give us a bit of a footing to start off on. Like one of the songs that's coming out on the EP is a reworking of a song that we wrote nearly 4 or 5 years ago now. So, you know, there's definitely kind of links to how we used to, I mean, yeah, having that foundation helps with the distance and the technical difficulties, you know. So
it's amazing that you do have that opportunity to like just have such a strong foundation. But you just released Lavender House, and within the first day you've already received like 500 plays, and maybe by the end of the week we might receive about double that. Was this a surprise to you, considering how difficult it was marketing new music with lockdown and COVID and everything?
People responded to it, because I think it's so hard to judge how people are going to take something when it's been so internal the entire time. Like obviously until Friday when it came out, I hadn't played it to anyone. I don't think Ellis had played it to anyone, apart from in like its very early stages. But as a final piece of music, it wasn't heard until then, and people have loved it. Like I haven't heard of anyone who's had any sort of, who hasn't enjoyed it, and I think I'm just really happy about that, because it's worrying when you don't have any feedback until it's actually out there. But yeah, it's been amazing. It's been really good.
I think as well, another big thing about this song is we didn't really hear it in its entirety until it had all been recorded and sent away to be produced. Because we've never performed them in any capacity, so they've all kind of come from a place of working our own pieces and putting in. So like the guitars, for example, I didn't hear most of the guitars until after I recorded all my pieces and the vocals were all set in stone. So it's been an interesting process, and that's, for me, was most apparent when we kind of had to release it, and it was sort of a surprise for us as well as to how the actual song would sit with people.
I mean, it did like sit really well. Like it just came out and people just loved it, and I think maybe that was because you didn't give anything away or any snippets. It was just like, here it is, and it was like, wow, this is really, really good. And I had nothing, like no expectation or no like what should have been. But we know that you've been working on it for quite a while. So there was always original intentions for how these songs were meant to sound. So do you feel like you're drastically different, or what was like the original kind of sound coming out like?
Well, we've always kind of been coming from a place of synths, me particular. But this song turned out a lot rockier than I think either of us anticipated, which I quite enjoy. I quite like that. The first draft that Lal sent to me of it was just her singing an acoustic guitar. It was much more stripped back and chill than what it is now.
Yeah, as well, I think at the beginning, this was the sort of, it went through so many phases, didn't it? It was so difficult to write. It started off as a really kind of, really synth heavy, like Grimes influenced sort of track. And then it got altered again and again and again and again. And we just weren't happy with it for so long. But then we just decided, I think when we decided to pull the guitars up a little bit in it and sort of add more layers of guitar, it wrote itself a lot easier after that. It became like a whole song then. I think it really helped it fill out. Yeah.
I also think another big influence onto this song was our producer Daniel Keown, who's absolutely fantastic and has done so well to be patient with us throughout the whole process here. But he got the drums originally and did a mix of them, and just the sound, the way he produced the drums, kind of let the song grow into what it became. The drums are one of my personal favorite parts of the track, just because they're not trying to do too much yet they're still just, they bring the energy of the track. So I think a lot of it has been influenced by his production of it throughout the process.
It is great to see, especially getting that input from a producer as great as Daniel, and like bringing it all together and bringing like basically the two of yous from over the ocean together and making it just so perfect. So Ellis, I know you like to call this a concept EP. So could you both let us know what the concept was for you? I know Lal is the songwriter, so what was the kind of concept you're going for?
Well, I mean, all of the songs we've done quite a good job of sharing the lyric writing burdens. I mean, the Farewell, which is the last song, was pretty much all Lal's, but the rest of the lyrics have definitely been kind of a good 50-50 split, and they all kind of came from a place where, from the last summer that we had between sixth form and university, and that was the kind of last time we lived in the same place and we were making music together, and it's just kind of like a happy period for us. So when we call it a concept EP or an album, it's just kind of like the songs all originate from the same time period, with both kind of positive and negative views on that period of our lives.
Yeah, I think it's sort of that like bittersweet nostalgic vibes, especially in like the lyrics. It's because the Farewell is about the last night before we all went to university. The rest of them are about sort of a kind of snippets of different parts of that summer and other times as well. And I think as well it became that because of the situation we were in, because we physically couldn't be near each other even at the times when we were in the same city, because of lockdown, obviously, about that, like a time where that was possible. I think that was the major reason why it ended up that way, was the situation at the time. Yeah,
it is really interesting because you have been so close your entire lives, and then it was like gone after sixth form, and it's really weird, especially for Ellis having moved so far away, a plane trip or a boat away, that, you know, it was a big part of your lives. And it's really interesting because you don't see a lot of music based on that. So let's go to the lyrics, because I know you've been building up hype on Instagram using lyric cards and stuff. So what was kind of the thought process behind that?
Just kind of, I think it kind of came from a place where we were struggling with the EP artwork, and we had a few pictures kind of flying around, a few ideas, a few concepts. And we liked a few of them too much to not use in some capacity. So we ended up choosing a picture for each song. And from that, we kind of decided it would be quite fun to release the lyrics before the actual songs, to see people, because people have, you know, people interpret songs through the lyrics in different ways. And you put the lyrics in the context of the song and it has a different meaning. So I don't know, it's just kind of interesting to put the lyrics out first before anyone kind of had heard the vibes and the feels of the songs. For me anyway, that's, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a good way to like sort of build it up as well, people getting a little taste of what's to come. Because especially the artwork we used for All I Want, which is our song about sort of, it's a much more like dance based track. It's about like clubbing, going out. The image for that, we really loved it, but we didn't think it was quite right for the cover of the EP. And that's, yeah, as Ella said, that's sort of how that idea came about. Yeah.
Because the photos you use, like, they're all very like separate and individualistic, but they really do tie together, and like they do look lovely. Did one of you take those pictures, or?
They're all our own pictures. Yeah, I think. Lal took the EP one and the no, I can't even remember now. But yeah, no, we took them all. We took them all ourselves. They were all just photos over the years that we kind of.
It was a case of sort of scrolling through our entire camera roll for days and days, trying to find any, like, all the photos that we thought worked really well. That honestly, that was one of the things that took the longest, was finding those photos. But yeah, I think it was worth it. I think they look good.
They look amazing. Like, it really does tie together. And that with the name Iris Brickfield, where did Iris Brickfield come from? Is that like a street name, or does it have any significance?
I'll let Lal talk about this one because it's closer to her.
One of the local parks in Newcastle is called Iris Brickfield. It's just near me, actually. And it's, I always went there when I was a kid, and I don't know, it's always just been sort of a place of significance in this area. And it's, I don't know, I just think it's a lovely name. We were slightly concerned at the beginning that it sounds like a one person, like the artist would be one person, but I think it fits as also like a band name as well. I quite like it.
I like it as a band name. I didn't even think of it as like a solo artist name, but I guess there is lots of people called Iris out there, and I'm sorry to all the Irises that I've not acknowledged over the years. So Lavender House brings us back to 2018. You both started university, and then fast forward to the farewell about moving on over the past 3 years. So what do you think these songs will show your listeners about your own experiences?
Ooh.
That's a question.
It's my job.
I mean, there's kind of, like, as you say, the farewell was about our last night at home, and it's kind of the last song on the album. So the album kind of works in reverse, I suppose. Because Lavender House we wrote as kind of, you're looking back, you're kind of remembering these times, and that being the first song kind of shows that that's kind of where we are at the moment. We're both planning on moving back to Newcastle, and there's that kind of looking back and remembering how it used to be before university, and how we've kind of grown to, how we've kind of developed and changed as people before moving home, I
think as well the aim was to make it almost non-specific. I think the songs can apply to a lot of people in different situations. Because I was listening to The Farewell the other day, and I was thinking, if I didn't write this, I would have no idea what it was about, really, because there's nothing that's actually, it doesn't tell you explicitly, which I think is nice. I quite like to be able to interpret songs to apply them to my own life, so I think that works nicely with other people's lives as well.
Lavender House really doesn't give away a lot, but it feels like it should. It feels exactly like the situation of like moving away and stuff. Like you can just get it just from the vibe of the music, really. But you have been friends for so long. As we've known, you've collaborated together and everything. And how does that friendship shine through with the like lyrics and the songs and the music? Like, do you ever particularly reference your own friendship or acknowledge it within the songs?
I think it's allowed us to kind of be a little bit more firm with each other and push each other in directions that we might not necessarily be comfortable in. And just from a songwriting point of view, like with Lavender House, obviously I sing a verse, which if I'd gotten my own way, I wouldn't have done, but Lal was taking no for an answer on that one. So yeah, that kind of the comfortableness we have around each other has definitely helped. And we're not afraid to be like, no, I don't like that, for fear of falling out or anything, It's just chill.
Being too polite. Stop being too polite. That's the thing. But also, I think lyrically, all the songs are about our mates. Like they're all about that sort of like The Farewell. There's specific lines that are about like little tiny memories I have of the last night. We all stayed at mine. Ellis left in the morning, and it's sort of about that moment. But there are little things that are sort of not inside jokes, but things that we understand, but other people might not understand.
But they're not too kind of on the nose to not be interpreted, as I was saying before. That's what we really tried to do, was not make anything too on the nose, I suppose, or alienating in any way.
Like as Ellis was saying, like you were singing in Lavender House, and this was the first time you've actually recorded yourself singing it, and it's actually been produced and it's been on something. But it went down great, and it mixed in so well. And without that friendship and without being able to push each other, you would never get that new edge. And it's so great that your friendship can create new boundaries for each other and keep progressing and moving each other on, which is amazing. So to me, Lavender House is kind of similar to like the Slow Readers Club album Build a Tower, with the synth, but with a softer, more haunting presence. So what were some of the inspirations you had to create these beautiful layers?
I mean, I think the main inspiration for this song was Wolf Alice, actually. And there was one Wolf Alice song which we just kept on referring back to, and it was just that was the kind of the essence of the song. That's where we kind of wanted it to sit. But as I say, it kind of started off as an acoustic guitar song, and then I wrote a synth bass line, and it kind of just stuck, you know.
What was like one of the major ways we were influenced by Wolf Alice was the sort of really in parts quite heavy rock sound, but then quite mellow lyrics and vocals at times as well. And I think that comes about when you start writing vocal melodies on an acoustic guitar. It's difficult to write like rock vocal melodies when using an acoustic, but I think somehow it fits. I think that's the sound that carries over across the whole EP, is that sort of lighter, more gentle vocals and lyrics, and the sort of heavier sound on the instrumental side.
Well, it paid off.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Just following on from Niall's point about the vocals, like that's also we've been able to do that because of Daniel's production of it. Like he's done a fantastic job across all the instruments, but it's in particular the vocals which stands out for me. Just, you know, Lal, who sings lead on all the rest of the tracks, she doesn't have the loudest voice, but it just cuts through and it just sits perfectly. And I've always really liked that, where you've got a softer vocal line on top of a heavier set of, you know, accompanying instruments. So yeah, just credits to Daniel again for his production of it. Like, it's phenomenal.
I mean, you have worked with Daniel before with In Flight, so you do have a great connection, and, you know, to bring a project into that and him work on it, you know, makes it all the more special between your experience with having a band with him here and everything else. And so we've only heard Lavender House, but we have 3 more songs waiting in the wings. Will these next tunes have any surprises for us? Because I know you said one is a lot more dancey, and I was like initially like, oh, I didn't expect that, but any more surprises than that?
The last song, The Farewell, is primarily acoustic guitar and piano, which is a bit of get a bit of whiplash when that one comes on, because it does really strip it back. It strips it back to how it was written. That song, it sort of stayed exactly how it was from the first draft. And then Ellis has added some amazing piano over the top of it, but and the harmonies, I don't know, we really love that song. Yeah,
that one's got a special place.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's very much the kind of opposite of everything else on the EP, but
it rounds everything off quite nicely as well, I think. The other 2 songs, Long Sands and All I Want, they're kind of they're similar in a way. They've kind of got that indie summer vibe, dancier drums, dancier synths, less guitar going on in them. But yeah, The Farewell definitely kind of rounds it off and shows a different side to us, I think. A softer side to things, which is nice.
That's what a farewell should almost be. It's not like all the bells and whistles. It's like, you know, plain and simple, like, I'm sad to see you go, or happy to see you go, or whatever kind of farewell it ends up being. The real question is, where is Iris Brickfield going from here?
Ooh.
Well, I mean, we're planning on moving in together, hopefully at the end of the summer. And back in Newcastle, and obviously there's a great music scene there, and we know lots of really talented musicians. So hopefully we can kind of sort out a practice space and get playing the songs properly together. But, you know, I think we both kind of want this to be here for the long run. Start gigging, start making more music.
Yeah, I think our only aim is to not get a noise complaint from the neighbours. That's pretty much the only thing. We don't want to happen because
If you want advice,
yeah,
don't ask me. Don't ask.
That's like all I want to do really is be able to play music together for once, because it's just been so long we've just not been able to do it. And
We've
what I'm honestly looking forward to the most is just to be able to do that.
We've got 4 songs that we've never once played together in the same room, and obviously we're not going to be able to in its entirety with Lal being the multi-instrumentalist here. But yeah, just kind of sort out all of that and get hype back, because when we left for uni we were on a bit of a roll with our old band and getting some gigs, so that's definitely the aim.
I mean, living together will automatically make everything 10 times easier. So I think the fact you have created this and then you're going to move in together, it should be a piece of cake. But it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you both.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having us. Yeah, you've been fantastic.
I always well, I was going to say it, and then I was like, no, don't say that. Well, I can't wait to see where Iris Brickfield goes in 5 years' time. And if the first release is anything to go by, I don't think I'm going to have to wonder where you're going to be in 5 years. So please make sure to check out the entire album of Iris Brickfield. It is up tomorrow, and you don't want to miss it. I will be listening to it all day.
Thank you.